Gosh, I am just so inspired by your story. So let me introduce you first. Actually, you do it because you've been just so excited to introduce Jess.
Jess has 4 kids and
Yes.
she lives in rural Queensland.
And Jess has been through so much over the last...
I reckon it's best. Let's Jess. Is it Jess? Can we call you Jess or Jessica?
Yeah, what do you prefer?
Jess is good.
Jess, where are you living right now? What's the town called?
Dysart.
Dysart. Wow, that's like really out there.
Is that...
That's a mining town.
Yeah, and that's top of Queensland?
Central Queensland, isn't it?
Central. Oh, cool.
You don't even have an ocean.
No.
Just the outback.
We get that because we're in the desert right now, so we kind of get...
Well, we got an ocean. But it's for anyone who's traveling to Australia, it's like the dream is to go into the outback. And you live there, Jess. So tell all of these people that dream to go into the outback how wonderful it is in Dysart.
Oh, I don't know if it's very good here, but not much out this way, but yeah.
So, Jess, tell us a bit about yourself, just briefly.
Oh, yeah, just was with my partner for 6.5 years, and he just up and walked out, and yeah. I'd already started doing the first round that I did, and I got to week 7 when, yeah, it all sort of went pear-shaped, and I sort of thought, oh, well, life goes on, not much I can do, so...
Yeah, no, it's pretty shitty. So for those of you who are just tuning in, we're chatting to Jess. Now, Jess, you are just so inspiring. It's very common for relationships, obviously, to go through what you've been through. So what's happened if you've just tuned in? Jess started the program because she really wanted to
In January, you started?
Yeah, I started on the 29th of January was the first round I did, and then I started again after sort of everything settled down. I decided to do it again, and that was sort of towards the start of July that I did the second time round.
Yeah. Okay. So Jess started in January because she wanted to rekindle the romance with her husband. You know, she felt like things weren't great. Like every relationship goes through, they need to be worked on. So Jess decided she got the Fit Mum program, or the Fit Healthy Happy Mum program. And she started to just think, you know what, I really want to make things work with my husband. We have 4 kids together, and I just want to rekindle that romance. And 7 weeks into the program, he tells her that he's leaving her for another woman.
Is that right? That's what we read.
Yep.
And I like reading this story, I just feel, and I know every woman and man out there can feel for you, because it's not just men that do this, women as well. Like, it's not just exclusive to men to leave their wives. We know of women that, you know, it's the person, it's not really the sex, whether it's male or female. So anyway, then Jess has got 4 small children. The youngest is 2?
1.
Yeah, he turned 1 on the 30th of August.
So you can imagine, you guys, if you're tuning in right now, what Jess is going through. So it's week 7 of the program. Her husband's like, I'm leaving. So she's like, holy shit, the life's just spinning around. She's then continued on to get back on the wagon with the program. And so we're going to obviously ask her a lot of questions, but I wanted to give you a background of how inspiring she is. I know a lot of men and women have been through this. We hear it quite regularly, sadly. We hear it quite often. And I'm just so proud of Jess to come on and chat to us, because so you could have 1,000 excuses on why you're fat, why you can't exercise, why you're depressed, all these things. But you know what? You've gone, you know what? I got 4 kids. I need to be an inspirational mum for them, and I need to show them, you know, things can happen in life, but you can still move on and be inspiring. So I've got goosebumps because I just think you are so amazing. So let's hit off with the first question.
Sure. So it's your baby's now 1 year. My maths isn't very good. So at 3 months old is January, right?
He was about 5 months old when I started, yeah.
5 months old. So it wasn't a New Year's resolution because it was past New Year's. Is that right?
Oh, well, I had the program for a while, and like I watched Shani's videos, and she sort of explained that there was 2 type of people, the ones that'll succeed and the ones that won't. And I can't remember when I got it, and I sort of thought, well, now's not the right time for me, you know, I'll just hold on to it. And then I sort of got to that point after I had him, and I just wasn't happy with how I looked and whatnot, and I just thought, well, right now that the twins had started prep, once I sort of got through the first week, I thought, well, right, I'm going to start now.
Yeah.
I'm going to make it happen. So
So your kids are, so you've got a 1-year-old and you've got twins, and how old are they?
They're 5 or something.
Yeah, they're 5.
And then you've got an older one as well?
No, in the middle, she's 3.
Oh, so you started
got-
with
babe,
twins.
you are like, so
Like, we're
4
jealous
under
because we always
5.
wanted twins and we never
Yeah.
got them. I don't have the power seed.
First, so
Wow, that would have been an interesting start.
So you've got 4 children under the age of 5 and under.
Unreal. And you're living on a farm at the time. So in January, you're living on 400 acres.
yep, that's right.
Which town is this in?
It was near Marlborough.
Marlborough.
Yeah.
So cool. I
And
just
then-
love
and then-
Australia. I really do. Okay, so you've got the 4 kids. It's January. You've decided the kids are starting prep on the 29th of January. You've decided you wanted to start this program that you've been holding on to for a while. What was the motivation to start?
Oh, just that I wanted to lose the weight and
Yeah.
try to get back to the way I used to be and start riding horses and everything again. And
So you like horses?
yeah, I've got 5 big horses and a miniature at the moment for my kids.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
cute.
So when you say you were going to get back to riding horses, so you weren't fit enough to ride horses?
Oh, I could have rode them, but I just probably wouldn't have felt comfortable or anything. So yeah.
So you wanted to feel good about yourself, basically. After the kids, you thought, I need to get me back again, and I need to be
Yeah.
feeling great about myself.
Yeah,
That's
pretty
cool.
much.
And then how did that go? How did that start? Was it difficult to start?
Yeah, it was sort of out there sort of by myself and the 4 kids and whatnot, and I sort of thought to myself, I don't know how I was going to do this, but I was pretty determined, so I had a measuring wheel and I actually measured myself out a little 200-metre track close to
Nice.
the living quarters and whatnot. So with the little fella, I tried to get him in a routine, so when he'd go for a sleep, she would have been 2 at the time, the one in the middle, so when the little fella was asleep, I'd put a movie on for her and give her a few little snacks, and she was usually quite happy to sit down and watch TV while I was out doing whatever the exercise was for that day. And I was always close enough and had a monitor that I could always hear and see what was going on.
Oh, cool. So a lot of people, well, not many people live rural the way you do. A lot of people live in the city, so they've got access to fitness equipment and running tracks and anything like that. So how is it when you're living out in the middle of basically nowhere? What's it like for people in the city? Just explain to them what it's like to just actually do fitness on your own
On a farm.
in the Australian outback.
Yeah, you've got to be pretty determined to be able to do it, and time management and everything like that. So that was sort of my biggest thing with being on my own and having the 4 kids, was trying to manage my time around them and sort of what was going on with them. And so usually sometimes if I'd get up early enough in the morning, I was able to get the workout in before they actually got up. And other times I'd sort of get a little bit behind and I'd just have to work it in at some other time during the day. So
Yeah, and then food. So living rural, you don't have a supermarket really close, right? You have to prepare your food, buy your stuff well in advance. So how does that work to being healthy?
Well, while I was out there, I had my girls enrolled in dancing in Rockhampton. So usually Friday afternoon after I'd pick them up from school, I'd drive into Rockhampton. I'd get up early Saturday morning, do the 5-kilometre run, come back, have a shower, get the kids ready, take them to dancing, and then I'd go to a farmer's market and go and get all the veggies and fruit and everything else, and then take it back out there. And usually that night, once the kids were asleep, I'd cut it all up and have it all ready and everything. So
Wow. Okay. So I got a question for you. So you're saying that you were by yourself on a farm. So your husband at the time, he walked away and left you to look after a farm on your own and 4 kids. Is that right?
pretty much, yeah. Oh, at the time he was away working, and when he wasn't working, it was pretty hard to even get him to come out to the property. And if he did, he was literally couldn't leave fast enough to get back to town. So.
Okay. Well, if anyone knows anything about rural properties, it is constant work. It's almost like you're trying to keep something that's crumbling apart, like the outback's trying to take over your farm constantly. So you've got a property to run and 4 children
Under the
the age of 5.
You're amazing.
Do you just
Oh,
mainline
I love
caffeine to stay alive?
Yeah, coffee's good. Coffee helps. Yeah, we didn't have too many cattle out there at the time. We only had sort of 4 bulls and only had my horses and whatnot, so I didn't sort of have to keep an eye on too much. But I had 2 dogs as well and some chickens and whatnot. So yeah, had to factor in feeding all the animals and everything as well at the same time.
Oh, wow, man. And so many people right now, I don't know if you can see this, a lot of people are commenting and they're just so inspired by you. I've got one here from Alexa. She says, Jess, you're amazing. Going through what you went through and still having the strength to change your life for the better. You're an inspiring mother for your kids. Just amazing. She's starting round 2 soon. She's lost 10 kilos so far. And it's people like you that give her and many others the needed push to keep going. Because people don't realize how easy their life is until they see someone like you who's got, you basically gone through everybody's nightmare and you're just so normal and so
happy and loving
strong
kids,
and fit. And I mean, you could just be smoking durries and smashing Maccas. Oh, you can't get Maccas where you are, but smoking durries and just eating just junk and feeling sorry for yourself, but you didn't. So what we really want to know is why? Why aren't you that person?
Well, firstly,
what have you done?
You did the program for 7 weeks, right? And that's when your husband had told you that he's leaving. So maybe start with that because that's a big deal. And she just...
Okay.
He'd been acting strange for a while, so I knew something was up, and he just obviously didn't have it in him to face me, and yeah, just went.
Oh, so he didn't even talk to you face to face?
Told me over the phone.
Oh, man, what a coward.
Yeah.
Jeez, Jess, that's...
I think you're better off without him, babe.
Yeah, like that's not someone you want to raise your children with, that sort of courage. So can you tell us a bit of so things were going bad at home. You decided, so this is what really inspires me, right? You've got what everybody goes through, which is marriage troubles because of children and life. Like everyone gets married and they think it's going to stay romantic forever, but it never does because you grow up together and then suddenly you have so much responsibility and you have twins plus 2 younger kids, all under 5 years old. That puts massive strain on a marriage. Plus also being so far away from anybody. And the thing that inspires me is that you wanted to do work on your relationship.
Yeah.
So you decided to do this program and thought, maybe if I start doing this program, I'll get fit, healthy and happy. And then we could have our family together. But he just decided that he was going to take the easiest way, and that's to find someone else. Is that right?
Pretty much.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
decided it was sort of too hard, and yeah, figured it was obviously easier with someone that didn't have kids or whatever. So.
Wow, and I always wonder with this, what is his excuse? What was his reason? What can someone come up with for walking away from a family?
Oh, yeah, he just come up with stuff that was sort of too hard and that he was going through a lot. And as I said to him recently, I said, well, I was there. I was going through it too, but you didn't choose to speak to me about it.
He was going through a lot. He didn't birth any of these kids. Like, he's just the guy that put the seed in. He didn't actually birth the kids, and he wasn't at home with the kids because he was working. You did that, and you looked after the farm. Wow, I'd like to meet him. Okay, so back to the original question for you is, why aren't you a complete mess?
Well, I suppose I can't afford to be for my kids.
Oh man, that is just the most.
You are just amazing, Jess. Like you probably, you would, like any mum, self-doubt yourself, and you'd have so much going on. But from us, you are amazing. Like you really are so strong and inspiring, and because you are the way you are. And I just want to share this with you from, I guess, me to you. You will meet that right person. And obviously, it's not the right time now because you've got young kids, but things will work out for you because you're a go-getter. You just keep on going. And that is inspiring for every single mum and dad watching this. Can learn so much from your strength, I think. So I just think you're awesome.
You really are.
I think I sort of had one day where I was pretty upset, and then sort of the next one I just got up and I thought, well.
One day.
You had
One
one day.
day.
One day of sadness. You were so amazing.
One day.
Day of sadness. You were so amazing.
Oh, wow. The strength in you. So where does this come from? Like,
Yeah, where do you get your strength
I
from?
know rural people, the farmers are pretty tough people, but this is like extreme level toughness, mental toughness.
Oh, probably my dad.
Yeah?
I was never really a girly girl growing up. I was always such a tomboy and into
Yeah.
the rough and tumble and into everything. And yeah, sort of like when I got my first horse, he was yeah, a bit of a pain in the bum. He'd buck me off, and my dad would be there as go and catch him again, get back on, don't cry, just get back on. So I did, and just as I say,
Anyone watching from around the world right now, Jess will love your accent. You've got such an Aussie accent. And
So cool.
since we've been traveling, everyone loves an Aussie accent. So I know anyone that's not Australian right now will just be loving listening to an Aussie accent. I know we are. We miss it.
Yeah, I miss a good Aussie accent.
we like confusing people by telling them, yeah, nah.
Yeah, nah, yeah, nah.
And I think for a lot of people with any kind of fitness program or starting something new, the excuses. So you've got your mind under control. Like that is amazing that you've got your mind under control. So is there anything you do to do that? Because you really are a strong-minded person. Can you give anyone tips with that? Because I know a lot of people, they go, I can't do it, it's too hard, and they're always fighting with their head and that willpower to go on.
Yeah, I don't know. I suppose well, each person different, and how they handle their situations differently. And well, I just don't know where it sort of came from. I just obviously
It's
decided
just who you are.
You don't realize how awesome you are.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm just me.
I think that's a really important thing that you realize that today is you've got such a strong willpower and a strong mind, and that in itself you're teaching your children so much is how you're just a go-getter and inspirational, because a lot of people fight with their mind every single day on even being able to finish, a day on the diet or a day trying to study, or there's so many different things.
Yeah, like here's a question for you, Jess, and I'd love to know the answer to this. We get people who say, I've had a hard day. I went to the supermarket and some lady glared at me because I pushed in front of the queue by accident, and therefore I'm drinking tonight. What that's usually what it is. It doesn't take much for someone who's got a very privileged life to have an excuse to drink or eat the junk for the night and not start a diet. You have every excuse. What would you say to someone like that if they come to you for help and they're like, I just can't do this? What do you say to them?
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't know, sort of, if you don't sort of know what's going on in their personal lives as well and the type of person that they are personally, probably it all factors into that. So, yeah, I don't know.
I'd like to get into, because you've got 4 small children, your husband's left you, you're living in a rural area where you don't have access to all these, everything you need all the time. Like people have excuses. Oh, am I going to be able to get, what I need to be able to be healthy? I live in the middle of nowhere. So you could literally have every excuse, as we've said, and you haven't. So tell us how you've stayed on the program, how you've eaten. Firstly, let's start with, how you've kept to eating right. What has been your routine to eat loads of veggies and all of that every day?
Or just trying to keep it stocked. Like when I was out on the farm, like I'd buy pretty much as much as I could and prep it everything. And that way, if I was in the kitchen or whatever and I wanted something, I could just reach in the fridge and grab it if I was sort of on the run and be munching on it as I was going around. And then when I've moved back to Dysart, the same sort of thing, and just factor it in, make sure that I've got plenty of it in the fridge, and just grab it whenever I need it or feel like it.
And you've got 4 small children. How do you do that? Do they just in the kitchen with you? Because that's another excuse is I've got small kids, I can't prep food, like that excuse.
Oh, well, with the twins being at school now and the older ones, with having my mum handy now, she usually takes my 3-year-old, and having the little fella, he just sort of toddles around the house and finds toys to play with, does his own thing. So, while he's sort of happy, I'll do a bit. But if I've got all the kids here, I'll usually throw a movie on or something that they like to watch, and if they want a snack, I'll give them a snack while I'm gone. Usually whatever I'm cutting up, it's like, oh, I want some of that. Here you go, have some. Try it.
So they eat what you're eating.
Sometimes, yeah, I don't push them to have what I'm having, but like making the chocolate ice cream with the bananas and everything like that, and they're just like, oh, can I have some? Yeah, right. Oh, whip up a big heap of it and dish it up to them as well. Oh, I like this. So
That's so
That's so
good.
good.
You're doing so much for your kids. It's amazing that you're just creating those habits for them of strength, of inspiration, but also of those habits of eating healthy and exercise. So they're going to grow up with that being normal in their lives. And then they'll obviously get married and do the same thing. So it's really cool what you're doing.
Yeah. We've got so many people saying that they're amazing. I'll read a couple of these for you, just so that you know, Jess, because I know it's quite lonely where you are. But we've got here, Nat says, you're amazing, Jess. Well done. So much strength. Carrie Ann says, amazing lady with a big, gorgeous soul. Good for you, Matt. Tara D says, no husband equals more time for horses.
good point.
There we go. Bings says, wow, being strong and amazing is just the way you are. You just inspire with your presence. And you're so
And she says,
understated
"Thank
as
you."
well. Like it's
Humble.
just like, yeah, it is what it is, rather than trying to overthink it through. Oh, here we go. Tamara, you are blowing my excuses out of the water, Jess. Talk about resilience, selflessness, and inspiration. Snezana, what an amazing person you are. The strength you will teach your children is absolutely mind-boggling. Thank you for sharing something that is so personal. You just, and from us too, like it's actually quite humbling, and it's quite hard to put into words how powerful you really are. You don't, like, to you, this is just you, but to us, this is like, can you really believe this is real? You're a real person?
Yeah, so I guess that's why it's so important for us to read these things so we can share with you. You've been through hell and back, and you're standing strong, smiling and loving your kids and eating healthy every day and exercising and moving on, because that's what you've got to do, because you want to be inspiring to your children, and that is so normal to you. You don't care. You're like, it's just what I got to do.
Hey, Tamara's got a question for you, Jess. She'd love to know if there were any strategies you used to overcome initially being tired when you first started.
Oh, not really. Just probably determination. I think I was tired to begin with because of bad eating habits, and it made me sluggish and everything. And I've found recently that half the time I'm waking up before my alarm even goes off now. Like I'm up at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning now, no worries at all. So
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a good point. When you start eating healthy, you realize how little you need sleep, and you start waking up really early.
Yeah.
Have you found that, Jess? Like you just need way less sleep.
yeah, pretty much. And you're not nearly as tired. Like even with my fella being 5 months old at the time, I think changing my eating habits probably like even made because I was still breastfeeding him at the time. So he was getting pureed foods overnight and breastfed sort of still during the day. So I think that also improved my quality of milk for him, because he was settling a lot better and not getting so many pains in the belly and everything. And
That's amazing. So tomorrow, Jess is basically saying it'll pass. So just be strong in the mind and just keep at it, because that tiredness, you'll overcome it and you'll be bouncing out of bed
And the
before your alarm
tiredness
clock.
is actually food related.
It
so
is,
it's
yeah.
the food you're eating is making you tired. So that's not the answer. Eat more food.
Yeah, and you got to give your body a chance to reset itself. So get rid of all the poisons you've got in your body. That could be gluten, that could be wheat, could be dairy, it could be anything going on for you. So that's why we say to eliminate those things to reset your body for that time. So you're really starting on a blank canvas for yourself.
Oh no, I was just reading someone's comment there. They said that they've only done a week into it, and I sort of remember my first week that I think I contacted your team, and I was like, it was only a week, and I was like, I already felt a lot better just from eating cleaner and getting in and having a go and whatnot.
Yes, a week isn't long. Like people think a week is hell. I'm going to feel bad for a whole week. Oh, what am I going to do? I can't do it. I got to stay fat forever. A week isn't long when you look back on it. Hey, Jess.
No, that's it. Like I look back at photos now, and I sort of think to myself, I wouldn't. If someone had bet me like $1,000, I'd be where I am today, and to be the weight that I am, I would have just said to them, "Yeah, I'll struggle, but that's the best thing I found about your program is I had the set exercises to do, so I tended to push myself that little bit harder to do them, because if I had to do it on my own, even though I was out there on my own, if I had to say, well, I'm going to go for a run today, something would come up, oh shit, can't fit that in today, or I'll do it tomorrow. But with having that on the screen, I'd get up in the morning, I was like, right, I've got to get that done today. It's going to happen.
Hey, so on our program, there's an optional 5K run just to test how you are every Saturday. Jess, you're in the middle of nowhere with 4 kids. How did you do that?
Was it optional?
We don't tell anyone it's optional.
Yeah, we don't like it to be optional. We would rather everyone do it, but some people freak out. So we're like, well, just don't do it. But most people get the great results from obviously attempting that 5K run each week, even if they walk it.
Yeah, well, I started off, I couldn't do it to begin with, like I'd walk and run and everything. But while I was in Rocky, I had the mother-in-law staying at her house and everything, so she'd watch the kids while I went for my run. But then when I came out here to Dysart, if my mum isn't home on the weekends, I'd even put it on Facebook to sort of say, oh, I've got some friends that can watch my kids, and 9 times out of 10 I'd get no one. But I noticed at the school here, there's a play set right next to the school oval. Even though it's only flat, I sort of thought, well, it's better than nothing, and I don't have to pay to go to the gym because money's tight. So I sort of thought, well, I'd get the kids ready in the morning and I'd wait till the little fella was getting tired, so then I'd give him a bottle on my walk to the oval. And by the time I'd get there, he'd be just nodding off or he'd already be asleep, and I'd have a bag full of water and snacks there for the kids, and I'd do 13 laps of the oval, and I could see them the whole time while I was running past and hear them. And
you are smashing excuses out the window. You are literally smashing excuses out the window for a mum that goes, I can't do it, I've got kids. You literally, what you just said then, you'd wait till your little one was tired, you'd walk with your 4 children under 5 to the oval.
On your own.
You'd pack snacks, you'd pack water, he'd go off to sleep and the little ones would snack and you'd do 13 laps. You're amazing.
Yep.
So that's half an hour play for the kids too. And they'd probably love it, wouldn't they?
Yeah, literally every weekend. Are we going to the oval today? You going running today, Mum?
And that's so cute.
Wow, that's beautiful.
No running today. It's a rest day today or something like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you're creating such a normality for your kids where they love it, they're excited, and they're asking for it because it's a part of your lifestyle. And I think so many of us can learn from that. You being so busy, a single mom, looking after 4 children under the age of 5, and you still make shit happen.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Emily has a question for you. Jess, she says, Jess, you're looking amazing and your kids are just gorgeous too. How do you find the time to fit in the exercises around the kids? I only have 1 baby and a fly-in, fly-out husband, and this is what I struggle with the most.
Well, she just explained with the oval thing.
Yeah, but what else? What other tips you got?
So say, like with the burpee workout or things that you can do with exercises, do you just do those around the house?
Pretty much, yeah. The ones that I could do around the house, I would. When I was out at the farm, I had my little 200-metre running track that, when the older ones were at school, I'd try and do it then, or I'd try and get up early in the mornings while they were still asleep. Like if it seemed like a quick workout, or I could get my running in then, and usually by the time I'd finish, they'd be just waking up, and I'd usually get them ready for school and whatnot, and yes. But if she's only got one baby, sort of, when Bub goes for a sleep or whatever, you could probably fit it in then, or just depending on what the work is.
So, and also, Jess, you've got the Emily, Jess would fit it all in, but you've got the short workouts. So I know for a lot of mums that we've spoken to before, or dads, they would do it after their kids go to sleep, before they're awake, or just with their kids around in the lounge room or in living area or some little space. You can do those short workouts. You don't have to do the extended workouts. When you're time poor, just grab one of the short 5 to 10 minute workouts where you don't need any equipment and you can do it in the lounge room. It's just so easy. It really is.
Yeah, that's right. Like, there was one time out at the farm. It was actually raining, so I couldn't actually do one of the running workouts. So I just did the scaled back 50 burpees at the time, because I think it was sort of in the beginning of when I started. So I sort of thought, well, there's no excuses. I've got a skipping rope and I can do the burpees and whatnot. So yeah, I got in and did 50 of those for the day. So, and
Hey,
even now
another thing
I think
is
I miss it.
yeah.
But actually
So,
training.
oh, you're not training at the moment?
No, because I've brought my horses back. I'm sort of trying to let everything settle into a routine again because I've got to get up to them twice a day and everything like that. So, yeah.
So can you do us a favor today, Jess? Can you grab one of the 5-minute workouts and do it? Because you're missing it so much. Grab one of our
With the horse.
shorties. No, you don't have to do it with the horse.
Oh, I could do. I think last time I did the burpees, I think I did the scale back ones. I think I did about 50 of them in 5 minutes, or just under, or just over. Sorry.
That's awesome.
Hey, also rural Queensland on a farm, you're running 200 meters on the track. Did you ever see any snakes?
No, not at the time. Yeah, I didn't actually come across any snakes, but I actually
That's
come across here in Dysart. I'd actually been driving sort of around town and walking around town trying to find a decent hill to do my hill sprints up because most of them were steep enough and I wasn't happy. I wanted steep, but yeah, this one time I sort of did a hill sprint and then I was walking back down. I was like, oh, I seen something out of my corner of my eye there, and yeah, it was a big old carpet snake.
Oh, no.
So
No.
you said before that you just wouldn't believe or couldn't believe that you've done this. What would you tell the Jess at the beginning of January? What message would you give you now to the Jess from January?
Oh, just make it happen, which I ended up doing. So yeah, I can't believe it took me so long to do it, but yeah, got in and done it eventually.
That's good.
Rashita wants to know, did you fall off the wagon at any time, and how did you get back on if you did?
Well, some people, like with my separation happening, some people I understand are emotional eaters, whereas I'm the opposite. I'm an emotional non-eater, which I like. When I get upset, I don't like to eat, but because I was still breastfeeding my bub and whatnot, I sort of thought, well, I can't afford to do that, and I sort of was alternating feeds between breastfeeding and bottle feeding because I was a bit worried that he'd be missing out on something, but sort of over the 15 weeks or 16 weeks, whichever it was, between when I finished the 7 weeks to when I started again, I don't think I did too badly. Like, I was still pretty conscious of what I was eating. Like, I'd still have like a little cake or something every now and again, but I sort of didn't want to do too much. And just recently, after I finished the second set, my family and I went down to the Sunshine Coast for 10 days for a bit of a holiday and took the kids to the beach and everything. And I sort of indulged a bit there, but even though I indulged, I actually went for a walk one afternoon. I was a bit disappointed that the hotel we were staying at didn't have a gym. And I was looking forward to it. So I can get down the gym and do a workout, but they didn't actually have anything. And
Oh, no.
so I thought, okay, I still want to do something. So one afternoon I had 2 kids with me. I had a little fella and one of the older boy wanted to come for a walk with me. So we went for a bit of a walk and I sort of found a good bit of a track. And because on my phone the walking track I was on, it wouldn't actually give me a distance of what I was walking. But from the point where I'd finished, if I went back along the road, I knew it was about 2.5K. So I got up early in the mornings and actually did a 5K run every morning. Well, or not every morning, but most mornings that I was down there. So.
Wow. Snezana wants to know, how did you manage to stay focused on yourself? She says, as a mother, we usually tend to fall back into bad habits, like late nights. Just trying to find time for herself. She doesn't get 8 hours of sleep, which is her biggest struggle. So how did you manage to just stay focused on keeping you healthy?
Oh, just getting myself and my kids into a good routine. Really, like overnight with my kids, I usually try and have them in bed by 7:30, 8 o'clock, depending on what kind of a day they've had. If they've had a really big day, I usually get them to bed earlier, whereas then they get up at 6:30 in the morning, and I'd sort of have an hour or 2 hours to myself there. So I always try and make sure that I'd be in bed by 10 o'clock at the latest. of a night to make sure that I was getting sufficient sleep. But every now and again there'd be some good show on TV I'd want to stay up and watch. But
So can you tell us, like, the first time someone noticed your weight loss?
would have been my mother.
Oh, beautiful.
She seen me at Christmas time, and I look back at photos, like the photos that I sent you guys. I've actually got a picture of myself in shorts and a singlet, and I sort of feel pretty disgusted. And when I look at that photo, and to feel that my family seen me that way, and then sort of when everything sort of fell apart, my parents drove all the way out to the property, and I can't remember at what stage I was through the program, but my mum didn't actually say anything at the time, but I received a message from her the next day. She asked me if I was, this is going to sound terrible, she thought I was on drugs.
Oh.
It's crazy when people get really skinny and start to, like, not skinny, but lose weight, healthy and start to, eat veggies and all that. People are like, are you sick? Are you on drugs? Like, they think negative things. It's like one of the common things is like, no, I'm eating healthy.
I said to Mum, I go, Mum, it's a bit hard to get drugs out here where I am. I said, no, I'm not on drugs.
So what's next for you then, Jess?
Oh yeah, sort of once I get settled in again and get myself into another routine, incorporating my horses and my kids and everything again, I'd really like to do the program again, because I sort of want to set myself a goal now of actually wanting to do full push-ups and full burpees and everything, and I sort of want to try and keep pushing myself until I can do them. I really struggle with the pull-ups. I still find them so hard. I don't like pull-ups.
Yeah.
You'll get better at them. They're challenging doing especially a chin up, like going to that level. So I think honestly you'll get there. It's such a cool goal to just want to keep seeing yourself getting stronger.
Yeah, I actually did try to do a couple of chin ups, pull ups a couple of weeks ago, and I could only manage 2.
That's good.
Good.
That's really good.
That's more than me.
Some mums just want to do 1. So the fact that you're at 2, you're an inspiration. They'll be like, yeah.
Sometimes I wish I had a camera set up. Like a couple of weeks ago, I did 50 burpees in the lounge room, and my 3-year-old, she's getting down next to me trying to do them as well, and I sort of I had a bit of a giggle.
Oh, please set up your phone and film it and send it to us. We'd love to see that. I think it's so cool for every parent to see you just working out with your kids like it's normal, because so many mums and dads will be like, how do I exercise with my kids? Like, how do I do that? Like, so
are they there? They must be with you right now, aren't they?
My mum have my 2 girls. My little fella's asleep, but my oldest fella's here. He's been there. I don't know whether you've heard him, but he's been trying to climb up in the pantry, and he's been playing around the table and everything. There was a time. Yeah.
That's all right. We'll let you go. We'll let you go be a mum, because that's your most important role. So I do have 2 more questions. First of all, it's been 9 months since you've had to look after your kids on your own, and you seem to be surviving better than almost anyone in the world probably could. Has your ex-husband tried to come crawling back?
Yes.
He has, and what you say to him?
No, absolutely not.
Right.
Get lost, asshole.
And at the time, like when we were still together and I was doing the program to begin with, I actually had to sort of like fish for compliments from him. Like I'd say something on the side and he was just like, oh, you've lost weight. And I'm just like, oh, gee, thanks for the support. But he hadn't seen the kids for about 5 months, and he drove out here to see them and whatnot. And yeah, he actually reckons I'm probably smaller now than what we actually were when we first got together. And now I sort of still, I'm just like, well, you couldn't love me or support me when I was at my worst, so you don't deserve me now that I'm back to my best or even better than my best. So.
Wow, that's a powerful thing to say, because it's really a lot of these times it's so much easier to just go back to the way things were and hope things that will be the same. but your strength is so inspiring that you would say no. So he actually wanted to come back after leaving you and telling you that he found someone better or whatever, or younger or single without kids. What a good guy.
I think what you said to him is so perfect. You didn't want me at my worst, so there's no way you're coming near me at my best or better. You know, like that is just like, damn, that's good.
Yeah, no, well, couldn't be
So he
there.
actually tried to schmooze you.
Yes.
He actually tried to hit on you after all of that.
Yeah. It's like, oh, like, well, I've had sorry too many times before, and yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you say he didn't even come and see his kids for 5 months.
No, he didn't. He didn't even call the twins for their birthday or anything like that. So
Yeah, that's
they
Well,
always
it's just
say, actions speak louder than words, and some of the actions that he did in that time to me was just screaming that he had absolutely no intention of ever coming back. And yeah, then I obviously, when he did start come crawling back, and I just said to him, I said, well, things obviously aren't so rosy between you and this woman anymore, otherwise you wouldn't be here right now.
Well, it sounds to me like you've dodged a bullet and things have happened best the way they should for you and your kids. Beautiful. It sounds like you got your shit together and there's only up from here, you know, like you really are so inspiring. And I just can't wait. Well, one day it'd be amazing to meet you, but also to see where your journey goes over the next few years. I know I'll be watching.
Yeah, well, hopefully I'm gonna get back into competing my horses and everything like that, and
That'd be cool.
See if the kids be interested in horses. I wouldn't push my kids to ride, but if they choose to ride, then that's fair enough, because I love being outdoors and whatnot, and being outside and doing stuff. I get a bit.
It's amazing. And have you got any final words, Jess, that you'd like to just finish with today? Anything you want to say?
Oh, I love your program, and if I can do it, literally anyone can do it. They've just got to have the sheer determination and the willpower to do it.
Your kids are so lucky to have you, Jess. They really are.
Yeah, you're an amazing mum.
Did you know
and
you
an
were
amazing woman?
Yeah.
So amazing.
All right. Well, we'll let you get back to the pantry climber.
Yeah, we better go and
Spider-Man.
see what Spider-Man's doing in that pantry.
He actually likes Spider-Man. He's back in the lounge room now, but there's one other time that I
wonder what he's eating.
Oh, I can't see. He was.
All right.
My little brother was in the pram, and the other three were playing on the gym, and I was actually doing box jumps on a chair on the school oval, and the little fella was giggling at me. Every time I jump up on the box, and I was just thinking to myself, this is hard enough to do as it is without you being so cute and laughing at me doing it.
That is so cute. Wow. They bring you so much happiness. I know what it's like being a parent, and yeah, kids are just awesome.
All right.
Thanks so much, Jess.
Thank you. And from everybody watching, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for just being awesome.
No worries. Thank you.